what's up, everybody? Good evening to all. Welcome again to another edition to our Bayou City Soccer podcast with the Orange and Blueprints. I think everyone, if anyone who is a Dash fan, is very, very pumped up, excited for. I know the title of this video is Playoffs. I was like, the first thing that came to my mind is like, Playoffs? Playoffs? It's like, it's really I think it's a lot of information to dive in. I think after this weekend's result, but I'm not always alone. I got my co-host Diego. Diego, what's
What's
up?
up, family? How we doing? How's everybody from Bayou City Soccer's fam and the Dash fam doing? Because we over here at Orange Blueprints are doing mighty, mighty fine. We're gonna talk a lot about what happened at the Gotham game. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of my insight from being at the game, and we're gonna be, like Manny said, processing the P word playoffs, the unbelievable, unfathomable event that might be within reach for the Dash. And I'm excited for all you guys to listen, to tune in, to hear our thoughts, and put your own thoughts on the comments. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say. We always love when you guys interact with us, give us your takes, agree with us, disagree with us. So I'm excited for this. It's going to be a great show. Manny's got the jersey. I unfortunately do not. I'm repping Fordham women's soccer. Shout out. We got a big game against CU Boulder tomorrow. So if you guys want some college women's soccer to watch, it's tomorrow. It's 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Houston time.
I was about to say
8 p.m. Houston time. But Manny, let's get the show on the road.
it's. I know it was just very interesting this weekend. I think it was a lot to take in, a lot to. I think even after a dash when we have a lot to talk about. Even this past week, it was just a lot of information, a lot of course, the NWSL deadline day is on Monday, so it's a lot of information, a lot of moves. But let's start with this past Sunday's game. I know El Jefe flew you out to watch this game in live. Sadly, it was a one.
I wish you flew me out.
It was a one-way ticket. He didn't want you back. No, but all jokes aside, you were going out to Dash was traveling to New Jersey to face Gotham FC.
Mhm.
I think this game was on hindsight a point. Taking a point will be enough for the Dash, but as we saw, it was a hard start to watch. I think it was a hard first.
Mhm.
Wow, if you were watching the first half, you were very struggling to pay attention to it because it was very Gotham. Uh, I think like what Dio said last week. Last weekend, Gotham was taking control of this game. The Gotham was taking the life out of the Dash, and Esther Oguzin helped that Esther Gonzalez scored the first goal, and after that, it was just they were very mononical. They're very uh it was hard for the Dash to get anything. Of course, the second half, the own goal from Emily Sonnet literally just passes back to the goalkeeper. Bad communication on that part, and of course, it's not a Dash game without a weather delay. Almost how long was that weather delay, Diego? Almost 3 hours.
It was 2.5 hours if I remember correctly. Because I was there as a fan just to support the Dash and everything. The and at some point I was like, I need to commute back, and especially if I'm not going to be on the presser with media. I was like, okay, whatever, and I ended up making it with the entirety of like the second half pretty much to watch at my apartment.
Yeah, it was just crazy. It was just crazy. Almost 3 hours. Almost 3 hours. And it literally was like the last 15 minutes. I swear not. And then, but doing Dash things felt like it was going to end as a draw. Maybe I think if the narrative if it drew 1-1, I think it was very unkind for Gotham since they were dominating and unlucky by the last goal. Of course, the player of the match, Michelle Alozie, came in as a second half sub and scored literally the dying seconds of the game. Literally after her goal came in, the game finished. I was laughing when the game finished. You, me, Diego were like watching the game. We were like, the Dash won, and Dustin and and Joey was like, they lost 2 points. Playoffs is over, and we were like, what? What do you mean playoffs? Have you been watching this game?
We won, yeah.
Yeah, and then like football, like almost 5 to 10 minutes later, updated the score that the Dash won in the dying seconds. So I think it was just a roller coaster match. But I think I want to hear your thoughts overall, Diego. I think you being there as a fan, as you said, and just I think what you saw in the night and the whole match overall.
I think you summarized it pretty well. Admittedly, Gotham was on the front foot for most of the 90 minutes. Um, the first half, especially, they were getting more dangerous opportunities. They were moving the ball better. They were pushing forward. And I mean, that early goal from Resta Gonzalez kind of shows how clinical they are because, I mean, that's a rebound off a Rose Lavelle shot that hit the post and didn't necessarily roll the right way. That's an example of how dangerous this Gotham team can be. It doesn't matter whether it's Esther Gonzalez. It doesn't matter whether it's um, Rose Lavelle. Somebody's going to score, and it's really difficult to contain that kind of team. And for you to be able to do it for 90 minutes and only concede one, it's an incredible defensive performance. I think what's down out in the back line, especially, it's got to be Chapman. Chappie's been incredible these last 3 games, and I think the Gotham game's probably her best performance all season, where she hustled, she tracked back, she stayed patient in her tackles, and throughout all of her time playing, I think she was exceptional. This is the overall question does have to be, is this sustainable for the Dash? We talked about this with Theo last episode. It's not convincing enough for it to be sustainable. Again, this is the third straight game where the Dash score a goal in the 88th minute or later in order to recoup or gain points. Was a goal by Sophie Schmidt in the 88th, Sophie Schmidt again in the 90 plus first, and then Michelle Alozie with the 90 plus third winner against Gotham last match day. When you look at the stats, you see everything except for red cards, which was a draw because no team got a red card. Everything in Gotham's favor: shots on target, possession, passes, the accuracy of those passes, offsides, and corners. Everything was in Gotham's favor. And when you factor in the poor pitch, the conditions being away, you can label it depending on the narrative that you want to pick. Is this a gritty Houston win, or is this a Gotham deserved to lose because of 2 individual errors, whether it be the own goal that happened around the 60th minute due to goalkeeper center back miscommunication, or was it Michelle Alozie picking off a poor pass and then taking it to the house, La Casa, late at the buzzer? I don't know. I think that's we're gonna have to wait and see for Seattle because I think they're currently a better team in league play than Gotham. They're a little more convincing in my eyes, and I think the Dash have what it takes. But I think again, every game is a statement game because you only have 6 games left in the season. You are at the final stretch, and you have points to make up. You got these 3 points, and now you're only 2 points behind Gotham for that 8th spot. Now, can you close that gap? Now, can you push for the playoffs? That's going to be the real question that's going to be asked. And so I think like if I could summarize this game in a sentence, it would be the Dash played well enough to force Gotham into a loss, but this isn't exactly what I need to see in order for this team to be playoff bound.
Yeah, I think you hit the right points on most of the game. I think if you look at the stats, the performance wise, only like 2 players from Gotham really stand out was Rose Lavelle and Portillo on the right side. And
Mhm.
Esther, even though Esther had the early goal, but she was really not really effective in the game. She was mostly running behind and trying to give the service to the wingers and midfielder. I think she didn't really have an effective game. There's good things on the dash as well. The dash has really helped. I think challenged Gotham in many ways. I think in this game it was because I feel like most of the game, Avery Patterson had to do her hustle on the right side. I feel like, even though stats wise on FootMob she was player of the match, but I feel like everyone had a good team. Kiki, Sheehan, of course the defense. You know, as you mentioned, Page, I feel like Page had a good game, more than Chapman, but I think Chapman had more of the decisive tackles than Page did. But it was a really good, cohesive. Uh, I think you say. I think we were talking about Theo. Is this sustainable, or is this the type of football that the Dash wants to play? Yes and no. No, because you don't want to win in last minute, the last kick of the game, or come back from a deficit. But at the same time, you do want to play this way, as in the mentality. I think we always criticize the Dash for having a slow mentality and never recuperate when the game they're on a deficit. I think this, even as I don't know if you're on the same page with me, but I think ever since after the summer break, that this mentality has strengthened a bit in regards of, if despite being on a deficit, the team has enough firepower in them to get back into the games. Right? It's really interesting to know that the players with the decisive goals were subs. Like you mentioned, all three games. Sophie Schmidt, the last two games, in this game, Michelle Alozie. I think I think my question to you is, do you think this mentality of despite the score line, or despite how back we have enough to get back in the game and either tie or win, is that sustainable? I think other than the results, the performance, I think the mentality is what's the most crucial here. You think that's to say for all this to need to have that mentality from the beginning of the whistle?
I mean, I would kind of disagree with you on this question just because I feel like it's not really the mentality that's been questioned here. I think the mentality has been clear as day. One of the most impressive things with this Dash team as
Mhm.
of late, it's the performance that really needs to step up a notch. We're not asking ourselves, hey, is this Dash team fighting, hustling, putting in the work, putting in the tackles, getting the 50-50s, putting themselves in positions to score. We're not questioning that. We're questioning, can the performances start from minute 0 instead of minute 90 plus 1 or 88 plus whatever.
Mhm.
We're not asking ourselves, hey, we're going to see this Dash game, whether it be home or away. Are they going to hustle? No, no, that's not a realistic thought because we know what this team is built out of. But the real question is, can these performances start improving, and can we build off of
Mhm.
these successes? I think we haven't necessarily seen that because what Fabrice has been talking about is, hey, how can we turn these 15, 20, even 30 minutes of brilliance into full 90? Because if you put that 15 to 30 minutes of pure excellence from the dash, of forcing mistakes, of cohesively defending, of pushing the ball in the midfield really effectively and using it to go forward, using that play and stretching it for 90 minutes, we have the potential to be a playoff team very easily, despite our age, despite our lack of experience, despite whatever you want to say. There is the level to be a playoff team, but the performances aren't matching up. And I think it's never a question about the mentality nowadays because we know that what this team is built out of. We know that people building the teams like Angela know what they're doing. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Um, and so I think it's just a matter of, can we start performing like the team that we can be? And that goes into Theo's main point that we talked about last episode about, hey, this is really a season about growth, about development, about creating that core, about creating that identity. When is that going to click? That should be the question in all of our minds because there is a very realistic possibility it clicks in Seattle, in the Seattle match at home, and we get 90 minutes of excellence. But there's a chance it doesn't click for this season, and we keep getting these kinds of gritty, like fight out performances, and we barely miss the playoffs, or we don't really get close. But at the end of the day, I don't think the mentality is the issue. I think the performances is what's been missing because I mean I don't think in this league a Michelle Alozie 90+3 winner every single time is consistent enough to
Mhm.
get you into the playoffs or win you silverware. What's going to consistently get you into those positions is, hey, can Ryan Garris use her speed and use her versatility consistently and effectively game in and game out for 90 minutes? Hey, can we utilize Lisa Boyton's experience as she's coming in? Can we use her effectively in order to create a great partnership on the full back lines between her and Avery Patterson? That's what's going to get us, but like that's what's going to get us over the line, over the hump, over the playoff scary. And I think that's the question we should be asking ourselves instead of is the mentality sustainable? Because I think mentality mentality doesn't really matter if you're not performing to the level that your mentality calls upon. The Dash are holding themselves up to a high standard. I can see it. We all can see it. But I think we as media and as fans expect those performances to start aligning a little by little closer and closer and closer to that mentality.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that part. I think it's just, I think it's like when I'm coming on my end, I think it's like even though the mentality is there and everything, the push, the drive is there. I think if you don't get the result you were looking for, I think it just hurts your mentality little by little because you feel like, okay, we're doing our best, we're doing our best to grind out these results, and it's good when you actually have that results. But I think the opposite can be true if you don't get the results, it just you feel like the mentality gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and then just because of now seeing the table. But right now, it's doing well for the team. It's doing real good. I think, like you mentioned, I think we both want to see the results, the performance more on the pitch, and get that performance way before the last minute of the game. I think you want it to be before at least just enough time so that you be in a game and you can close out a game comfortably instead of be on your toes and be like, okay, is this going to be a draw? Is it going to be a win? Or is it going to be a last minute goal from the other team that you lose all 3 points? So it's like it's very edgy and very you're rolling dice on it, but you're because there's just not the performance. You're not doing it during the whole 90 minutes and just only the last 15 minutes. But you're 10th place, 2 points away from the playoff zone. And so it's really, really promising right now. So we have to see how things are going back moving forward. It's just really, really interesting. I think the Dash puts themselves in a conversation for playoffs, puts themselves. I think I think the way they're with 10 games to go, I think it's really very doable now. Any win right now, a win right now gets you in the playoffs basically, and right now everything's in your hands to keep it that way. So it's very interesting. You think I think Diego has your I don't, it's really hard to say. I think it's very early because it's 10 games. It's 10 games. I think we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I think are we going to have playoffs at the end of the season? Or you think we still need a couple more games, two more, 3 games, and it'd be like, okay,
Ask me that question after the Seattle home game
or
because we have Seattle, we have Orlando, we have Washington.
I'll tell you the matches we have. So first we have Seattle at home this Sunday. We
Mhm.
have so we have a quick turnaround on Friday to face Louisville away,
Mhm.
and then we have, of course, after that we have away at San Diego. Then on the next Sunday, the Sunday after that, away at Utah, and then we don't get back at home until mid-September to face the Chicago Stars, which I think the two games you see get all 3 points is Utah and Chicago. I think at this point.
But
Yeah.
besides that, you're talking about teams that realistically, once they make the playoffs, they have a genuine chance at winning it all.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Dash and you have 10 games left, you're thinking, wow, out of 10 games, I can only 100% confidently say I'm going to win two.
Yeah.
That's not great. I think Yes, this is where mentality comes into play. This is where you have to look at yourselves in the mirror and be like, "Hey, I can beat these Orlando teams, these Washingtons, these Gothams. I can beat these San Diegos. I can beat these teams." This is where the mentality comes into play.
Mm.
But I'm just gonna have to see if the performances can live up to that because I can say, "Hey, I'm gonna run a 2 minute mile," but I can train, I can I can have the mentality like a dog to do it. If I don't do it, I don't do it.
Yeah.
We need to see the results. We need to see the performance. And I think statistically, the Dash have still been lacking behind, considering the fact that they want to play possession based football, slow build up, not really taking too many opportunities on the fast break. I think considering that and being behind on possession still speaks a lot to kind of what the Dash need. And I think yes, I think there is a chance of making the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. This is where I'm being a little more negative, a little more pessimistic. Um, but yes, there is a chance of the playoffs. I would call you crazy if you would say no, never mind, we're done. But we have to show it, and I think doing against a team like Seattle, which is always trouble, um, at home, which has always been trouble for us. I don't know why.
The
It's a
heat,
state.
bro. It's the heat. It's the
Huh?
heat. It's the heat.
Hell in the shell. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No, literally, if you get a gritty, convincing 90-minute win, then I'll tell you, okay, you kind of have me sold.
Yeah.
There, then we can talk about playoffs. We're there, but we need to like turn a maybe playoffs into playoffs. Period.
Yeah. Exactly. I think one thing for sure, I think we have better hopes than the Dynamo at the moment, to be honest. But that's
Yeah,
the
I want to be so honest. There's a reason why we're a Dash podcast.
even though at the beginning of the year we were more negative than positive at the moment.
I
But
look, hey, I predicted that we were going to sneak into the playoffs.
yeah, Theo predicted that we're gonna be here 10th place. So we're right there. We're right there in the money. So, but the good thing is that still days to go, still 10 games to go. So hopefully we can get into that. I think what's needed more is support in the team, with the boost on the squad. I think this past week, I think it's been crazy in regards to news. I think we just go clear out, the transfer deadline thing, as we mentioned, is ends this Monday coming up. So it's very fast approaching, and the Dash has made some, uh, I could say, some loan deals to loan out some players. I think it was just really surprised. I think what the team is doing. So Tuesday, it was announced that Rebecca went on loan to La Liga Sai Primera División, which is their League Two division over there to do. I think is I can't pronounce the name. Dois Lograno.
I am sorry for just yawning.
Yeah,
Wow, that is crazy of me. I am very sorry.
Those Lograno. And then today, Zoe Matthews was loaned out to the same club as well. I know Jeff Strong mentions how many Dash players are all loaned now since J.Y. Harris is at Ot uh man, I can't even pronounce the name.
Ottawa,
Ottawa, bro. I can't remember.
Ottawa,
Ottawa.
Canada, brother.
I know it's in Canada, but I can't remember how to pronounce
Brother.
Ottawa. Ottawa.
Uh,
Ottawa.
there
And
you go.
so so technically we have three players on loan. It was four. Amanda West was on loan, but literally a month later she got injured with ACL and she's out for the year. So we called her back and she's on their uh, injury list. So we have three players on loan. I think it was really interesting. Uh, I think on my part because usually the Dash don't even do. I think they loan out players, but they don't do this aggressive. I think they would do it like on the off season and be like, okay, But I think I want to hear your thoughts. Two players are out. Rebecca and Zoe Matthews. That's leaving officially two open roster position in the team. Would you think of these two moves that the Dash did this past week?
I mean, I 100% agree with you that the fact that this is a more aggressive approach than we've seen from the Dash in the past. I think this is just showing that, like, I want to pick an example of Heather Hins from last year, where
Mm,
it was kind of clear she was going to be the third option, um, or behind Jane Campbell at least. Um, and I'm by the looks of it, the Dash were like, okay, she's not going to play anyway. We're going to send her out to uh, Tampa, Tampa,
yes.
and okay, great. It worked out. She did fine. She did great, and then she got released. But I think that was kind of like a signal of, okay, whatever. She's not going to play anyway. But these kinds of moves kind of feel like the opposite, where it's like, hey, let's get them playing time mid-season. That way, if we get a playoff push, or if we get them ready for next season, they will be bigger parts of our core. If you look at the midfield within the Dash, there's a lot of experience. You have to start considering life after Sophie Schmidt. You have to. And Rebecca, from her small little sample size performance against CF Monterrey, she displayed a lot of similarities from her play style. Quick, on the ball, technical, was able to move past defenders pretty easily, and was able to distribute pretty well. She lacks a little bit of the defensive strength that Sophie had, and obviously that's just a different player. It's not a one-to-one comparison. And then you look at Zoe Matthews, um, a center back. You're looking at your core, and you're seeing, hey, a Paige Nielsen. How much longer do I want her on the roster? How much longer do I want um, Chapman on the fullback line, or on the central role? You look at those and you're like, okay, but right now I'm not starting a Zoe Matthews over an Alicia Chapman or a Paige Nielsen. So what's the option? You send her out on loan, and I think this is a great bit of timing because you gave her a chance to fight for her spot, and it became apparent that it wasn't going to work out. But you're still giving them chances to prove themselves, and I think, albeit more aggressive, it was the right choice to make.
Yeah, I think because if you look at the past histories of, Dash's squads, I think they used to fill their squad and maybe not let players go alone just to have the fear, oh, in case this player goes injured, this player goes out injured, we have that player in place. But I think feel like you said, I think they're thinking more, 2 or 3 years down the road and say, okay, if this player gets this time, they will potentially grow. Thinking of Rebecca and Zoe Matthews. Zoe Matthews is just 18 and Rebecca is 19. So they're two young players, that needs playing time. They needs playing time. They can't just grow experience or get match fitness or develop, just be on the bench. They have to play. They have to play to get better, to develop as players because they need that playing time to know what they're good at and what to work for. So it's a really good option to see them go out and hopefully uh, develop and see. I know both of them are on contracts until at least the next season in 2027. So it's a good enough time for them to just to grow, develop, and see what else they can go next on their. I think just their next on their careers as well, because you want them to succeed. You want them people. I think it's a good interesting because you want players to come to Dash not only to playing time but also to develop in their careers. I think for the longest time you come to Dash, just talking to previous regime, to looking at previous regimes, to you come to Dash and you die basically. Because even young players, like prime example, Paulina Gramalia, a young Argentinian striker came at 18, 19, barely played one game, and then was loaned out and just let go from the team. And of course you have Lindsey Jennings, you have also Madison, this Madeline Desayano, and then you have other players like that were brought in from the draft or brought in as a young player, but never went anywhere. So it is I think it's a good refresher knowing that, okay, players come in youth, we're interested, may not make a difference in the team right now, but like you said, go out, get blitz, and get out the best you can. But so far, they're the only two confirmed rumors of unlike today, after announcing Zoe Matthews leaving, huge rumor. I think with Barbara has been out for extended absences for the longest, even after her exited from the Copa America. She was on excuse absence, and rumors detail that she is finalizing her deal at going to Tigres. So we were laughing in the chat earlier today. It looks like Tigres is trying to recreate the 2023 dash uh, team. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. It's a good plan, but you know,
I mean, let them figure that out. I mean, come on, look how that worked out for the Dash in 2023. I mean, let's just go with this assumption that Barb is gone and going to Tigres.
yeah.
What is she gonna do there?
I think
Like,
I think she's gonna she's gonna take the league by storm. Reason why? Reason why? The players here in NWSL are much harder, are much are much more developed and much more experienced, and they're fighting for positions. While not saying not, I think I don't want to speak bad of Liga MX Femenil, but it's still a younger league. They're still trying to find
oh,
themselves.
but my question was really, hey, you see D going to Tigres, you see Maria Sanchez going to Tigres. Like, I'm not asking this on the sake of like what are Tigres going to get out of Barb. I'm saying what are the Dash really losing?
I think
I
I think
mean, this season Barb's been solid for us, but it's like,
in moments and spurts, and it's very inconsistent. I think what you're missing from her, I think if you're looking from the forward line, it's just her fiery attitude. She had that, even though it was clumsy, she would always get a yellow card, but you always had that grit. And maybe it was not a good thing or a bad thing, but it was still, you know, moments she will spark and turn a game around. There was and then of course there was moments that she would just make the opposition know that she was there, make a harsh tackle, and but I think you missed that about her. But I think uh, you know her contract was up next year. I think it was a good if Tigres is willing to get her, willing to buy her. The Dash will get a undisclosed fee. I think hopefully a good amount, and so that will leave us with 3 roster spots before Monday. If Barb is finalizing her deal, most likely Angela has someone in place to fill that spot in. And so I think that's a good sign. I think it's because Angela's not a player that's going to leave her team empty-handed. She's going to sell and get someone from it. I think, like you mentioned it even past episodes that you want to know a midfielder, you want to know attacking player. I think with these 3 departures, we're gonna get that piece. We won't know of who, but I think
I
we're
agree.
gonna get it.
I agree. It's patience. It's patience. It's trusting the process. I think trusting the process has to be one of the scariest things you could tell a Dash fan, because not because trust, but because we wouldn't know what the process is.
I think
That's
it's before. I think it's before we always said trust the process, but nothing happened. And then
Yeah.
I
There
think
was no process. There was do. There's just do. And I was just like, okay, now let's regroup. Let's do that. Bring on Angela and look at what she's been doing for the culture, for the team. The construction of this team is much better. Fabrice is a great coach. I mean, everyone speaks highly of him. That includes me. Um, this is a far different team on an identity level than last year.
Yeah, definitely a team that was well. By this time, the team was almost dead last and nothing to play for because it was just no matter what team you put on, they were not gonna get any points. They were either lose or draw, and so that was the sad part here. Even though, like we said, the mentality there, maybe the performance is not there, but they're getting results, and that's what you need. You need this stretch. You need just to get results and climb yourself up the table. And so hopefully the deadline window ends on Monday. Hopefully a piece or two can come in, maybe one piece to replace Barb fully, and maybe I don't know, a trade or something to get a player, that just to fill that spot or that position in need, a veteran player that maybe that's you bit younger, to see the fit in the dash system. It's very hard to see. Okay, what you gonna do in this transfer window. So hopefully they do something. Hopefully, whoever the piece, I think it's very hard to know because there's no inclination of what player they're getting. So whatever the player they're getting, hopefully it's a midfielder and an attacking player, forward player that can help the team now and now. Maybe a player that's not on the off season in Europe and trying to get in fitness when the team needs it the most. So keep on the lookout. I feel like it's gonna be a busy end to the transfer window for the Dash, and it's gonna be very, very explosive. But
I We will see though. We'll see what happens.
we'll see. But it's gonna be very, very interesting. But before we close out, as we mentioned, the whole game, I think the whole episode, we have Sunday's match with Seattle. I think it's very, I think it's a very interesting game. Reason why Seattle after the break hasn't been on their good. I think their good performance. I think the first game back in the break, they won Angel City. Angel City, it's one is the teams that are very hot when they're hot. I think when they're you have to get to beat Angel City. You have to get them on a good day, even though they're fourth and fifth on the table, but they're still uh, well, actually Angel City's at 12. Actually, never mind. But I think they're still a dangerous team despite low on the table. So I think it's very hard to see that. But of course, they lost to Portland Thorns, and I think what was most surprising for me this past weekend, they tied 3-3 against Chicago. Even though that game was played on, if I'm not mistaken, that game was played on Monday. So they have,
Shout out Alyssa Nair.
I know, I listened there on her 200 appearance, scored her first goal for NWSL. NWSL After Dark is a real thing. I think more than MLS After Dark. I think NWSL After Dark is like gets crazy and bonkers. But I think but uh I think of course you have a lot of players to look out for, I think, when you're facing this Seattle team. But overall, I think I want to see your overall thoughts on this game and how the Dash is gonna do.
I think it's going to be scrappier than the Gotham game. The Gotham one was very methodical. It was very think through, force errors, pressure, tactics. This one's just going to be a dog fight. This one's going to be physical. Seattle likes to play bully ball. We've seen that. We've seen that at their house. They're not going to change the way that they play. So I think we have to bring physicality into this game. We have to bring speed, athleticism. I think if we do that, we'll be okay. But I'm just there's so many ways that we can trip ourselves up by saying, oh, it's just Seattle. They haven't been on form, whatever. But Seattle's always going to be a tricky team. So I think it's a toss up, but I think I'm going to remain positive.
I think it's going to be very, very interesting because it's very hard to think about this game because of course you have players that are very experienced. Of course you have Lynn Biandolo, who's always top scorer in WSL. Of course you have Mia Fischel. She hasn't started off her Seattle campaign on a high note because she's barely coming out of the off season uh, training. So she's barely getting into fitness. So we haven't seen the best of her. So hopefully she continues that for the Dash benefit. But of course, you have players like, you know, Jessica Fishlock. You of course this past game, Jordan Heidema was player of the week for the NWSL. So you hope you catch her on the off day. Of course, you have players like Sofia Huerta, that has been in the mainstay in this defense side. So you have players that okay on their day they can hurt any team in the NWSL. I think Seattle has been always a team that you always fear for because they take it seriously. So I think it's very interesting how this team's gonna play almost a similar formation that the Dash has been implementing. So you might have that, like you said, a reggae game because it's gonna be a very uh, counterattack. I think very they cancel each other out. I think at this point, but it's gonna be very interesting how this game goes. I think, but also I think you also have to see that Laura Harvey, just like this past game with Gotham, she will adjust her tactics according to the opposition she faces. So it's going to be very interesting how this game is going to roll out in general. So I think my question to you is, what's your prediction? I think for this game, it's very hard to see how. I think it's very hard to see how you can predict this game. I think to Seattle's form and to how Dash has been performing this past 3 games.
Dash 2-0.
Damn.
Dash 2-0. We're gonna score early. Seattle's gonna like scramble. They're gonna push their line even higher than they normally do. They're gonna create an error like we saw in the Gotham game, and then we're gonna score the dagger, and we're gonna win 2-0.
Damn, man, that's even more than me. I was gonna say 1-0, and that was pretty much it. Nah, but it's very hard. It's very hard. I think, like you say, it's very hard to know. Okay, how is this team gonna play? How is this team gonna?
100%.
Yeah, but it's very encouraging. These two past results with Dash, and so you hope to continue that home streak to win. The last game was North Carolina Courage, so you hope to continue another win at home and be in the spot in the playoffs. I think if you win against Gotham and then you win next week against Seattle, I think the team's gonna have you label as a team as a threat now. Uh,
100%.
so I think it's a good and a bad thing for Dash because I think you're going in under the radar because I think teams didn't take you seriously, and now you're coming as a real contender for the playoff spots, and so now teams are gonna take you more seriously instead of I think maybe take you for down. I'm not saying that every team takes a dash for down. I think it's the NW, so any team like the Prem, any team can beat you on their day. I think now they have to take the dash more serious now. This with the results there. I say 1-0, you say 2-0. We both have a win, and so hopefully by next week we're in playoffs. We're in the playoff spot, and then we'll be like, okay, now we have something. Now we have something to look forward to. So hopefully it goes as we predicted. Hopefully we see the dash in the playoffs. I think, and overall, I think we just hopefully we're good. I think more than just the 3 points. Of course, the 3 points is more vital. I think, like you say, you just hope for the team to have the performance. I think my last question to you before we close it up: Are we gonna? Is the two new players, as in Lisa Boateng and Clarissa Larissi, start or off the bench this week? And
I think Clarissa's off the bench, and I don't think Lisa's playing.
you think she's still waiting on the work permit and permission at least visa?
I don't know. I just have a feeling that if she even features on the bench, she's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to rush her out like that. I'm going to be honest. They're going to rush out Clarissa because we need a number 9, but
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I hope I don't mind both players come out the bench. I think, but I think it all depends on fitness and everything. I think we'll see how things are go with these two. Whew. You got me yawning now. No, now these two players and these two I think it just really depends on their fitness. I think at the end of the day, because both players come both players are coming off their off season. We have to remember, and they're trying to get into fitness, trying to get the fitness match ready. And so I preferably want them off the bench. I think for this path for the next month or so, because it's going to be very hard for them to hit the ground running. So preferably off the bench. Hopefully make a difference. If not, I get it. I think your overall scheme is trying to incorporate them as fast as you can, but not rushing them. That mistakenly you will force an injury or have them mess up or and cost the team. So I think it's a good thing. I think hopefully one of them gets off the bench, but we'll see. I think how the team is functioning. I think they're getting results, and that I think that's a good sign. Despite these two additions, the team is getting results, and hopefully, if they come in, they can get the results can come in faster. So we'll see for that. But thank you all for staying tuned with us for another edition for the Bayou City Soccer podcast with the Origin Blueprints. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Ugly Guppy, Lotes Bravos, and We Got Soccer for always helping us as well. We're always going to let you know that I know Rudy mentioned it, but also on the 25th, we're going to have a live podcast at We Got Soccer for the Dynamo. So please, if you're out there, I think it's going to be.
What?
But I can't. I'm trying to think what time it is. I think it was at 6. Rudy 6:05. I can't remember. I can't remember. So yeah. So if you're out there, please come out. Please support us. Please say hi either on live stream or in person. So we'll be out there as well. We'll also before we'll check out our website biocitySoccer.net. Dustin made some new upgrades, so it looks more modernized. So hopefully y'all like it and everything. But always, if you're not, you always have our social media, Bayou City Soccer at Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky. I was thinking that's pretty much it. I think everything you see that. So hopefully, thank you all. Hopefully next week, me and Diego will be much happier.
We're pretty happy today. I'm gonna be honest. We're pretty in a good mood.
I'll be in a perfect mood if we're in playoffs and it's the end of the season already, so I can stop stressing. Okay, if we win, if they lose, I'm like, okay, stop with that. We just like I gotta do playoffs.
Just be happy we're not in last place, man. We're growing. We're getting better.
I know, but
Process.
you never want to be comfortable. You just wanted to push. But all right, but thank you all. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all next week. Peace.